All right, guys. I thought I'd take a small break from the collection vlogs and do some BMX stuff tonight. I have I did this about 6 months ago. We reviewed an old magazine. It was an old BMX action magazine, and I have a treat for you guys tonight because this is a very rare magazine. This is Bicycles and Dirt. So this was a small publication that came out in the early '80s, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it lasted maybe 2 or 3 years. It didn't last very long, but I subscribed to this magazine and I actually got the t-shirt. It was just like this. It was a white t-shirt, it said Bad Bicycles and Dirt on it. January 1984. I was definitely in middle school when I got this. Before we dig into this magazine, I wanted to look at the latest Pool BMX magazine, and I love the way they changed the cover now. Before just to be Pool, now it's Pool BMX. I love that. That's such a good touch because now when you look at it, the average person is going to know, oh, it's a BMX magazine. And looking at this cover for just a minute, Queen of Tulsa, we're looking at Elise Willoughby here, uh, possibly the best BMX racer ever. I know that there's a lot of men out there that are awesome. There's just endless BMX racers that were heroes of mine and heroes of yours, and this young lady has dominated the women's pro ranks for so long. I mean, look at all these pro cups, and it's just ridiculous. I'd have to do a whole video just to talk about her, but I was reading a little bit of the article. Looks like she was like born in '91, and I was kind of reading through it, and so she was born in '91, and this magazine's from '84, so it kind of gives you an idea of the age of this magazine. And again, it's another example of a magazine with no cover because uh, I sold, as I mentioned in the last video, most of my BMX magazines that had the covers. So I have several of these though. As I was looking through the cabinet, I go, oh, I can do quite a few videos. But anyway, this is an awesome cover. Love it. I think this is so well done. I love the new layout with the BMX added to it. I went ahead and read this yesterday, and I was just kind of thumbing through it, and it's just very, very well done. The pictures are excellent. Great coverage of the grands. I was really, really impressed by this. And it's crazy when you look at how modern these bikes are now, and compared to what we used to ride. It's all the carbon fiber, and they're just beautifully built. They're like works of art now. The only thing, and I will admit, guys, the only thing I'm not a big fan is the seat slammed all the way down. I know there's a reason for it, so the seat doesn't get in the way. I don't know. Just call me old, I guess you can say. I love the seats being up a little bit higher. I don't slam my seat all the way down solely because of my back. I have a really bad lower back, so if I'm sitting at the gate and I'm trying to sit on the bike, it just kills my back. So I have to have it up a little bit. But anyway, let's put this aside for a moment and let's get into this. Again, Bad Bicycles and Dirt magazine. It was a small publication. It didn't last very long. It was trying to compete with the big guys, and when I mean the big guys, you have your BMX Action, BMX Plus, Super BMX. So those were like the biggest publications at the time. This one came out, and because it was different, I subscribed to it. Now, I don't know how I even found this magazine. I just remember subscribing to it because it wasn't something that was readily available on the newsstands. So, like when you'd go into a grocery store or drugstore or wherever you get your magazines, this wasn't always on the rack. So when I did get my hands on one, I went ahead and subscribed to it. So let's go ahead and break into it and take a look what's going on. It, I don't know if the ABA was the backer of the magazine, but I love this intro here. Look into the future. Before it was USA BMX, it was American Bicycle Association, and this was the first sticker that I think I ever received from the ABA, because when you signed up for the ABA back then, you would get a square number plate that already had your numbers on it, a couple of ABA stickers, and your district number that would be on the bottom of the plate. Very nice touch back in the '80s, and you can tell we were all new if we had that square number plate on there. But it was also kind of a badge of honor that you actually belonged to the ABA. Looks as like a rocket. I don't know what this has to do with BMX, but hey, you know what? It's advertisement, so that's pretty cool. How much was that thing anyway? 1995, and you can launch a rocket back in 1984. That probably would have been a lot of fun for me back then. Let's dig into it. Oh, here we go. First magazine ad, Skyway. As everybody knows, I'm a huge Skyway fan. These types of ads would really get me going. And we've already looked at this in the previous magazine, but what a setup, man. And you can see these tough wheels in the background. You got the 16-inch, 20-inch, and then you got the 20-inch graphite in the background. I still don't own a pair of graphites. It is definitely on my bucket list. I need to own a pair of graphites. So let's move in here. Denny Griffiths was the editor of this magazine. And I'm not going to read all of this, obviously. We're just going to be thumbing through it. But this is pretty well put together magazine. I really enjoyed this magazine when I was a kid. And this magazine, along with all my other magazines from this era, would go to school with me, would go camping with me, would go anywhere I would go. If we went to Lake Tahoe, I'd take it with me so I could read it in the cabin. And again, it's just magazines that I would just read over and over and over again. We've got some, it looks like we have an article here, Lessons in BMX, written by Peggy Bradshaw. And again, I'm not going to read all of this. You'd have to pause it and read it if you want, because I'm going to try not to make this video as long as the other. We got some more advertisement from some main, this is from a commercial airline, so that's pretty neat that this was actually in the magazine. And American Bicycle Association's already preparing for the Grand Nationals. And then you got the Super Bowl of BMX in Toledo, Ohio, which was on December 29th through 31st. And that was in Shreveport, Louisiana, Cajun Nationals. And we had a Super Nationals in Los Angeles. So that's the race. Looks like this is typically when the race season's kicking off, because the grand, as we all know, the Grands are in November. Let's keep moving. We got some letters to the editor here. Please, Mom, my mom and look at this. Please, Mom, dear Bad, my mom and dad won't let me race BMX because they say it's not safe. They do not like the atmosphere. I really like the articles. I really like the magazine. I would like to race BMX. Hope you can convince my mom and dad. I would probably get a Diamondback frame for Christmas. That means I probably won't start racing until 1984. That is if I can convince my mom and dad. Otherwise, bye-bye racing. Sincerely, David Long. Pretty cool. This is the kind of typical thing you would see in the magazines, and then you get a response from the editor. Well, David, I'd love to be able to convince your mom and dad, but I'm afraid that it's a task you'll have to fall largely on your shoulders. The first thing you need to do is show your parents that you're willing to work and make sacrifices to be able to race. If you have a paper route or job, willing to help pay for your own racing and bike parts, collect all the information in BMX, and you can show it to your parents. The September 83 interview with Stu Thompson is a good example of safety in BMX. Stu has been racing forever without an injury, and as far as the atmosphere, well, I don't think you can beat BMX. It has the best family atmosphere of any sport. You can convince them, David, just keep trying. I like this for a couple reasons, because number one, he mentions paper route, and I had a paper route, and it was around this time of 1983, 1984. And having a paper route in the 80s is kind of like a rite of passage. It's the first time you earn money as a kid. And I remember getting up at 4 in the morning on Saturday and Sunday to deliver papers. And then every day after school, man, folding papers, delivering papers. My hands were always black with ink, and they always smelled like newspaper. That's really funny. That brought back some memories here. Let's move on. I like this Power Light ad. Looks like this is a rendering of Tommy Bracken's. This looks really cool. And look at these Echo helmets. These are awesome. You know what's really crazy is, as cool as full face helmets looks these days, and I race a full face helmet, but I really miss that open face helmet with the regular Moto Peak visor on it, with the little visorizer on it. That looks really cool. And we typically didn't wear face. I'd use a Jofa every once in a while, but most of the time it was just open face. And I used a face mask a couple times. This is an Amy one, but I had an Oakley one. And the Oakley one was awesome. It looks so cool. I copied that look from Eric Roop, because I see him in the magazine with a red one, and I got one myself. I thought it was really cool. We got Bicycle Harbor, and looks like there's Harbor Light sew-up forks. These are for the little guys. $42 for a pair of forks. They're only 1 pound, 1 ounce. You got some lightweight little guys bars, 8 ounces. So all the little guy stuff was in here. What do we got here? The top of the line Raleigh R7000. I don't know how much top of the line that would be. Looks more of an entry level type bike to me, but it's got the fake CW handlebars on it, the layback seat post. This is a typical look for the 80s with the bear trap pedals, CW type handlebars, and a layback seat post. That's really typical of the 80s. And I had noticed too that a lot of times when you would be looking at a lower end race bike, because I started with one of these, definitely not this brand, but I started with a bike very similar to this. They'd come with 2 brakes. I think it made it look more expensive. And at first you run the brakes for a little while, then you realize I'm not Harry Larry, I don't need 2 brakes, so it usually always came off. But pretty cool. I had this one. This is the Christmas issue of this magazine, and I sold this one. I sold this magazine for like $30, believe it or not. And you have the free T-shirt, which I actually do not know where this T-shirt is. I really wish I had it. It's not like it would fit because I was probably 13 when I got it, but it would be cool to still have it. Happy New Year from the Bad Staffers. So these are all the people that worked at this Bad Bicycles and Dirt magazine. Really cool rendering. I like his jumpsuit here. This is really cool. Now remember, this magazine's trying to compete with BMX Action, BMX Plus, Super BMX, and those magazines, especially BMX Action, BMX Plus, they really dominated this whole segment. But this magazine was well put together. I looking at it now, I can obviously see it wasn't at the highest quality as say BMX Action, but it definitely was a pretty decent magazine. I thought it was anyway. Oh, check this out. We got a Steady Pedal Power Pro Shop, and these are all the bike parts that were really popular back in the 80s. You got this uni seat. I had this seat, the KKT Lightnings. Now, I never owned a pair of these. This is a little bit before my time as far as racing, but wow, look at this JMC setup. The black shadow frame you got the Daryl Young forks, Daryl Young bars, and it's 006. How much was this frame? It's got me curious. Yeah, frame got. I see what it is. It's a JMC co-sponsored team package. It was $199.95. So for $200, you get the frame, the fork, the handlebars, and the jersey. $200. You gotta love the 80s, guys. That is just amazing. And I don't know how much this is worth now, but I bet you any collector would be happy to pay over $1,000 to have just the handlebars. The frame, forks, and handlebars. Here's a pair of landing gear forks and Mongoose Pro Class handlebars. I never really liked this Vector handlebar that has no stem on it. It just goes down. I never really dug that look. You got a Redline frame and fork, Amy grips, Monarch helmet, CW t-shirt, JMC jerseys. Oh, look at this. This is perfect. You got your GT BMX frame and fork set. How much was that? That's number 10. Let's take a look. That one's going to be $137.95. So for $137.95, you can have a really quality frame and fork set. Again, that's a collector's item too. Got your Haro. Uni Turbo. I had that one too. So I had a couple unis. It's funny story is I had a PK Ripper frame and fork, and I bought a Uni Turbo to go with it, and it didn't quite fit. It was a little bit too thick, so I had to kind of sand it down to make it fit. I got it to fit into the frame, and the minute I put some weight down on it one time when I came off a jump, it snapped right off. So that was a stupid idea, but what are you going to do? I was like 15. All right, let's move on. We got the Super Bowl of BMX. Qualifiers being held at specially selected ABA tracks, brought to you by Hutch BMX and Goldline. I actually had some Goldline race pants. They were kind of the entry-level, low-end race pants, but, it was my first pair of race pants. I was happy to have it. Got them for Christmas. And then here goes the Hutch ad. And notice how everything is in black and white. And again, this is not BMX Action, but you can see that this is probably how they cut corners, at least in my opinion. I'm no editor, but anyway, let's keep moving forward. And you look at the frame and fork setups for 1984. Yeah, you got your Pro race frame up there, XL24, little hole shot, junior race frame, expert race frame, and of course the iconic Hutch pedals that people still love right to this day. This is pretty awesome stuff. Let's move on. Hopefully this doesn't take me too long because I am tired tonight, guys. Let's take a look. It looks like we have some sort of Oh, you know what this is? It's like a comic, but it's, they're trying to compete with BMX Plus with Radical Rick, but that is a really difficult thing to do. So we'll move on from there. Oh, Uniturbo number plate. Never owned them, but I do remember that. And then, of course, your uni seats. You got the half unis. This is all for the little kids, unless you're Donnie Robinson, who ran one of these little things. But I like this one the best, the original one. I thought that one looked the best, but nothing beats a chromoly seat post, and a Cashmax seat or something like that. So I was always short-lived for me to run unis. I always went back to the normal seats. Little seat covers. I was thinking about this the other day. It wasn't uni turbo, but I had California Light uh, pad set on my race bike at the time. So I had everything was checkered at the time. So the handlebars, the stem, the frame pad, and I even had the seat cover, blue and white checkers all over my bike. And I went into a 7-Eleven, and I kid you not, guys, I had the bike leaning against the glass in 7-Eleven, looking at a video game with my cousins. They had their bikes outside. I turned my head for what maybe was a minute or two, and when I turned back, my whole pad set was gone. So that was my fault. Never ride your bike to the store, kids. Check it out. You got your start your own uni factory support team. My friend Mike had these uni pants. They were like a nylon pant. Um, not the coolest pants, but still, you rode what you can get. Linz Cafe Racer. Oh, this was the rage back in the 80s. These guys would go up these big mountain roads and just blaze down them. And this one actually has a crankset on it, pedals and all that. But most of them, they were just flipped. The frames were flipped upside down, and there was no pedals, no cranks, and they just bombed down them with weights on them and everything. And those things were awesome. I think I have that magazine somewhere. But you can see these guys are, this is typical to what I was talking about. There's like no pedals on it. And this looks like a ninja. But that's pretty cool. That's really cool. I would ride that around just for kicks. And you can see they're going down all these roads. It's pretty cool. Oh, check it out. Steve Veltman rad caps. I actually never bought his rad caps, but I made my own, and they were horrible. They didn't look right, but I didn't want to buy them, so I made them. And then there's more stuff. The Linz Racer. That's pretty cool. Oh, look at this El Camino he's standing by. That's pretty sick. Oh, wow. Boss cranks. That's awesome. BMX by Boss. These look really amazing. I think I would run those right now, too. It's funny how much stuff in here I still think is really cool. Ah, here we go. Northern California Gold Cup. The best for last. Look at this. Girl Racer Supreme, Sherry Elliott. That's a really good picture of her right there. And down here, we got, while the other A pros played pile on, Robbie Stanford played Win All the Money. So I'm assuming this is Robbie Stanford. He was on a Patterson right there. That's a pretty sick picture right there. He's like, I'm gone, guys. Todd Tompkins scored 3 big wins. What I liked about this magazine is that it wasn't just a lot of the big name riders. I mean, some of these guys you just never heard of, but they got their shot to be in a magazine, which I think is really cool. Oh, this picture, I actually remember this picture because I think it's super clean. If you look at it, it's Ronnie Anderson. He's on Boss and he's running Skyway pants, but I love that he's got the graphite tough wheels on the Boss. This is just a really cool photo. I think it is anyway. He's got, looks like Brian Patterson behind him, and I was just hearing an interview with Ronnie Anderson the other day, and it was on Dirty Knobs podcast. And Dirty Knobs podcast is amazing, and you can watch it on YouTube and also listen to it on Spotify. But they interviewed this guy, and he is. Now I know why they call him Crazy Ronnie. I always thought it was because of his riding ability and jumping ability, but he is a different type of dude, and it's very entertaining. Though, if you get a chance to go back, I'd recommend listening to that podcast. It was really cool. Here's some more pictures from the Southern California Gold Cup. Oh, this is a great picture of Cody Smart right there. That's a great picture right there. Again, all black and white, but it's still really cool. We got all the results in here. I wonder who won the pro class in this race. Let's take a look if we can find it. Let's see. Pro Open. Stu Thompson won the Pro Open. Lee Medlin came in second. But then Lee Medlin turned around and won the A Pro class. Double A Pro, Stu Thompson, Pete Loncarabridge, Tommy Brackens, and somebody named Dennis Kishlama. I probably said his name wrong, and I'm sorry about that. But that's pretty awesome. If you look at it, though, Lee Medlin was doing his thing. He came in second in the Pro Open behind Stu Thompson, and he won A Pro, which is pretty cool. All right, let's keep going. Craig Bark looks like he's racing for GT, and I think this is Steve Veltman right here. I'm almost positive. And this is the Oakley mask I was telling you about earlier. I really like that Oakley mask. Again, I wish I would have kept some of this stuff. I have my original Bell helmet in my garage, but I don't have the visor or any of the Jofas or face masks anymore. And then I love this Champion frame and fork on this bike. I always thought that was really cool. Greg Turnage. This guy's still out there doing his thing. Look at the drop off on this jump. That's ridiculous. There's no backside. You're just landing on flat ground. That's BMX racing, dude. Joe Rodriguez, number 79, took 6th in 2230 cruiser class after some tricky berm riding. That's pretty cool. Look at his helmet and gold sparkles. Pretty cool. These pictures are not too bad, actually. Oh, wow. Look at Greg Liggins. This guy turned out to be a newscaster, Greg Liggins. And he was from the Bay Area, and I'm from the Bay Area. And I never met him, but I heard about him. He was like a super fast amateur. They called him the Great Quadrupler or something like that, because I don't know how he got a quad. But and then who do we have here? Oh, Didi Leone. That's a really good picture. And here's some Goldline equipment. Now this is, like I said earlier, Goldline was my first uniform that I ever had, and it was just simply a red pants with a white stripe down the side. And my jersey was similar to this one, but it had like a guy doing a cross up on the front of it. But I was so happy to have my own uniform, not racing in jeans. Oh wow, look at this photo. This is awesome. Richie Anderson. That is a great, great photo. Love it. Everything about this picture I love. The 09 plate, the colors for the Patterson uniform, especially down to the Skyway graphites. This guy was just awesome, and he was winning so much on graphites. It looks like it's a whole interview for him, Mr. Smooth, Richie Anderson interview. Look at that photo. Man, Richie Anderson's older than me, so I would never have the opportunity to race him, and of course I never turned pro. But this guy, I've seen a lot of videos of him racing. He was just dominating. Plus, I would read about it all the time. Okay, guys, we're 23 minutes in, so I'm going to try to get under 30 because it's going to take me forever to download this. Midwest National BMX. So this is just another. It looks like another bike shop. My buddy had this helmet. He lived down the street from me. I remember him wearing it. Oh, look at that, Richie Anderson. Bam. That's awesome. Look at the intensity on his face. Oh, this is still his interview. Okay, so this picture right here, I really, really like it for two reasons. One, of course, it's just a great photo of Richie Anderson. But two, this track right here that he's on is in Sonol, California. And they had the Spring Nationals there. And back then they called it Fremont BMX, but it's in Sonol. And I think that was pictures from like 1983, if I'm right. And I recognize that this is like a bonsai that you would come down after the second turn. And this guy, he was one of the track operators. I believe his name was Lucky. So this is really important to me to see this because this was the first place I raced and where I did most of my racing in the 80s. So that's a really good photo, really cool photo. Oh, here we go. This is a Bakersfield race. The Bakersfield track snakes through a series of S-turns. Eric Garces pops out of one of these S's, so that's a really cool photo. I love how chrome his bike is, all that chrome. That is sick. That's kind of cool. I don't know if he did this intentional or not, but with the red anodized wheel in the back and the chrome in the front. I don't know if that's intentional, but that looks really cool. And I love the red line flight, so that's a great photo. Great photo. Let's keep on going. Looks like Mike Polson right there. Oh, look at, there's Richie Anderson, or Ronnie Anderson again. Yeah, that's a great photo. Again, he looks like he has Tough Wheels off now. Still running the Skyway pants with the Boss jersey. This guy didn't give a damn. He's going to do it any way he wants. Yeah, I love that. That is awesome. Oh, look at Bandito. Look at these dropouts, guys. What purpose did this serve? I really don't know. And I don't design bicycles and or anything like that, but that is bizarre. But whatever, it's their thing, man. Sometimes I think the '80s was really all about gimmicks, man. You know, what's gonna sell, what's gonna become the rage, and you got a free O'Neill catalog with the hot chick modeling. That's pretty awesome. Wow, not bad. Again, a little JMC action right there. Oh, this looks like a local race. Wonder what this is all about. That's strange. All right, let's keep going. I have no idea what this is, guys. This is some futuristic space BMX story called Space. What the hell does that say? Spaceball Pinout? Space Spy Pinout? I have no idea. Now I'm curious. I almost want to read it just to see what it's about because I probably didn't read it as a kid because I was like, I'm not reading that. Whoa, this is the whole story. That's pretty neat, though. Somebody put a fictional story in a BMX magazine. That's something you don't see. And Night Slider, this is looks like they're making a mock comic of Knight Rider, was like a big TV show back in the 80s. It was with the Trans Am kit that talked and everything, and it was called Knight Rider. Not Knight Rider, but this is kind of cool. All right, we're running a little late, Ty's. I think my phone's giving me a warning that I'm backing up my memory, so we're going to keep going. Free Agent. What? That's the humble beginnings of Free Agent right there. Comic is still going. And we're getting towards the end. This magazine's not the biggest, so that wasn't too bad. Looks like this is just an AVA track directory, which is actually kind of cool. You know, these are all the tracks from the AVA back then. There's a lot more now. Amy Tri Grips and Mike Miranda, Greg Hill, Brent Patterson, Brian Patterson, Tommy Brackens, Mike Polson, all endorsing these grips. So I love Amy grips. Still do. They still sell them. And then that's about it, guys. You got their product guide here. Some of the stuff that you can buy for the magazine. This is a really cool picture. It's kind of emulating a sport bike, but it's actually just a bicycle. You got to love it. Anyway, guys, that's it, man, for the night. That was a short one. 27 minutes. We did it under 30. I'll go ahead and get this edited and posted up. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And hopefully I'll get a lot of views on this, and we'll knock out another one. And have a great night, guys.